My name is Alyssa Carter. And on the day my ex-husband married his mistress, I walked into the venue, smiled at him, and said one sentence that destroyed their entire wedding in seconds. Hello, dear listeners. Thank you for joining me today. Before I begin my story, I would be very happy if you subscribed to the channel and left a comment writing which state or country you are listening from. It always warms my heart to see how far our stories travel. My name is Alyssa Carter, and if someone had told me a year ago that I'd one day walk into my ex-husband's wedding and ruin it with a smile, I would have laughed in their face. Because back then, I still believed in things like marriage, loyalty, and forever. Back then, I believed in Ethan Hale. We had been married for 4 years that I thought were built on love, respect, and partnership. I believed we were building a future, a home, a life. I believed we were a team. And then, I found out he wasn't just lying to me. He was living a whole second life. A life that included her. Brianna Lewis, his coworker, the woman he swore was just a friend, the woman who always texted him late at night for work emergencies. A woman whose perfume he carried home on his shirt. A woman whose smile he hid in deleted messages. A woman who never once feared God, shame, or boundaries. But this isn't the story of how I cried. My tears don't deserve center stage. This is the story of how I took back my power. The story of how, after months of humiliation, I learned the one truth that changed everything. A man can cheat, but a woman can rise. The day everything changed. It started with a credit card bill. A simple, ordinary envelope. The kind of mail I usually tossed onto the dining table without a second thought. But that day, God had other plans. The envelope was already opened. Someone had slit it badly and then tried to fold it back. Ethan had probably read it before I got home. Inside was a list of charges I had never made. A $684 dinner at a rooftop restaurant on a night he told me he was working late. $950 at a jewelry store. He bought nothing for me. $1200 at a hotel. He was on a business conference. And then the one that broke me. A $430 dress from a boutique I could never afford, in a size I didn't wear. That dress wasn't for me. My chest tightened as I stared at the bill. My hands began to shake. When Ethan walked into the room, I held up the paper. Explain this. He didn't even flinch. He didn't panic. He didn't apologize. He didn't beg, didn't break, didn't soften. No, he said calmly. I don't want to explain anything anymore. Ethan, what is going on? He looked straight into my eyes as if I were a stranger asking for the time. I'm done, Alyssa. I'm in love with someone else. I want a divorce. Just like that. Cold. Sharp. Surgical. My world collapsed in one sentence. But I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I didn't beg him to stay. I simply said, all right. He blinked, surprised that I didn't fall apart. Maybe he expected me to beg. Maybe he wanted tears to feed his guilt. Maybe he thought I'd cling to him like I had no life beyond his shadow. But I wasn't the woman he thought I was. Not anymore. The divorce. He moved out the next week. Left half his clothes, all his guilt, and none of his shame. The divorce was quick, ugly, but quick. He didn't even fight for anything. He didn't want the house or the car. He only wanted one thing. Just keep the financial accounts open, he said. I need some time to transition everything. Brianna and I are making moves, and this will help for a couple of months. Brianna. He said her name like she was oxygen. Like she was the one keeping him alive. I felt something in my chest burn, but I kept my face calm. Fine, I said. But deep inside, I already decided. The moment the divorce was finalized, everything would change. And it did. The wedding announcement. 2 months after the divorce papers were signed, I got a message from an unknown number. A photo. Ethan and Brianna. Engagement rings. Big smiles. Caption. June 12th. Save the date. Save the date. For what? For the wedding of a man who used my money to cheat on me? A man who told me he needed time to transition financially so he could marry his mistress? I stared at the photo for a long time. I felt my pulse in my ears. But then, Something inside me shifted. Anger turned into clarity. Fear turned into power. And heartbreak turned into revenge. The plan. I went to the bank the next morning. I closed every account linked to his name. I canceled every joint credit card. I revoked every access right he had. Because the truth was simple. Those cards were still open in MY name. MY credit score. MY responsibility. He thought I wouldn't notice. He thought I wouldn't dare. He thought I was still the soft, forgiving girl he once manipulated. But people forget. When a good woman finally stops caring, she becomes dangerous. The banker asked, "Are you sure, ma'am? The cards attached to the secondary user will stop working immediately." I smiled. That's the point. The wedding day. I didn't plan to attend. Why would I? But that morning I received another message. This time from one of Ethan's cousins. "Alyssa, you need to know. Ethan bragged at the rehearsal dinner yesterday that he used your cards to pay for half the wedding." Half the wedding. My money. For his new life. I wasn't even angry anymore. I felt something colder. Sharper. Smarter. I dressed calmly. Neutral makeup. Straight hair. Simple black dress. Not to make a scene. Not to cause drama. Just to deliver a single sentence. One that would burn down everything he tried to build without me. The moment. The hall fell silent when I walked in. Ethan's smile froze. Brianna's face turned chalk white. Whispers spread across the guests like sparks in dry grass. He walked toward me with a smirk. "Did you come to congratulate us?" I leaned in. My voice soft. My smile steady. "I canceled all the cards. Even the ones you used for her." His face lost all color. His jaw dropped. Brianna clutched his arm. And behind us, like divine timing, the wedding planner rushed over, panic in her voice. "Ethan, all the payments just declined. The venue, the catering, the DJ, everything. What did you do?" His world crashed behind him. And I didn't look back. I simply turned around and walked out of that hall like I was walking out of his life one final time. I didn't turn back. Not even once. The sound of chaos behind me. The shouting, the confusion, the whispers. Felt like the distant rumble of a storm I had already survived. My heels clicked across the marble floor as I walked out of the wedding venue. Slow, steady, unbothered. And for the first time in months, I felt free. But the storm I left behind? That storm was only beginning. The aftermath begins. By the time I reached the parking lot, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Messages. Missed calls. All from unknown numbers, all relating to the same disaster. Ethan's wedding had collapsed. Literally. The DJ packed up and left. The florist demanded immediate payment. The caterers refused to serve the food. The venue manager threatened to call the police because the final half of the payment didn't go through. Half the guests left early. Some stayed only to witness the show. Ethan's family was humiliated. Brianna was crying in front of everyone. Ethan was yelling, begging, arguing, sweating. The perfect wedding he imagined? Destroyed in seconds. By a single sentence. By a single woman. By me. The phone call. As I reached my car, my phone rang again. This time, it wasn't an unknown number. It was Ethan. I watched the screen flash his name. I let it ring. And ring. And ring. Finally, I answered. Not because I cared, but because I wanted him to hear the calm in my voice. He didn't even say hello. "What the hell did you do?" I smiled and unlocked my car. "Speak politely, Ethan. It's my phone you just screamed through. You ruined my wedding." The payments bounced. The vendors walked out. Everyone thinks I'm broke. And? I asked softly. And he exploded. "Alyssa, this is your fault. You canceled the cards." The cards, I corrected, were in my name. My credit. My responsibility. "You had no right." "No right?" "Ethan, you used MY credit for your affair. You used MY cards to buy her gifts. You paid for your wedding to another woman with MY financial identity. That's not, you're twisting this. That's not how it." "Goodbye, Ethan." "No, wait." "Alyssa. Alyssa." Click. I hung up. For the first time since the divorce, I felt something warm inside my chest. Peace. Social media explodes. By evening, the disaster had already gone viral. Someone at the wedding posted a video on TikTok titled, "When the ex-wife cancels every credit card on the groom's wedding day, loudly crying face skull." The video showed Brianna crying into her veil, Ethan arguing with the venue manager, guests walking out, and a bridesmaid whispering, "This is what happens when you cheat on a good woman." Within hours, 2 million views. Hashtags. Hashtag wedding fail. Hashtag cheater gets caught. Hashtag ex-wife revenge. Comments roasting Ethan like firewood. People were calling him community husband, budget groom, discount Romeo. And the comments about me? They were surprisingly supportive. Queen behavior. She walked away like she owned the world. Teach me your ways. I didn't post the video. I didn't share it. I didn't comment. I didn't need to. The universe was doing the work for me. The knock on my door. The next day, at nearly 9 in the morning, someone banged on my apartment door. Hard. I already knew who it was. I opened the door slowly. And there he stood. Ethan. But not the Ethan I once knew. This Ethan had messy hair, a wrinkled suit, dark circles, a look of desperation. His voice cracked as soon as he saw me. "Alyssa, please. We need to talk." I crossed my arms. "What do you want?" He ran a shaky hand through his hair. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone." "You embarrassed yourself," I said. "I just removed the resources you abused." He flinched. "Alyssa, you don't understand. I'm in trouble. The venue is asking for $18,000. The caterers want $7,200. The DJ." "Ethan," I interrupted, "you didn't just cheat emotionally. You cheated financially." His eyes filled with tears of panic. "Please, please don't do this. I need your help." A bitter laugh escaped me before I could stop it. "My help? You needed my help when we were married. When we were a team. Not when you were sliding credit cards for hotel rooms with your mistress." His shoulders dropped as if someone removed all his strength. "Alyssa, don't let them sue me." I tilted my head. Why should I save the man who destroyed me? He opened his mouth, closed it, and then whispered the weakest sentence I had ever heard from him. "Because I have nobody else." And that sentence told me everything. Brianna didn't stand by him. Her family didn't help. His parents were ashamed. His friends made jokes about him. Everyone abandoned him. He bet everything on the wrong woman. And he lost. A decision. I stared at Ethan quietly for a long moment. He looked like a man drowning. A man desperate enough to beg the woman he once discarded. A woman he replaced. A woman he humiliated. A woman he never imagined could fight back. "Alyssa," he whispered. "Please." For 1 second. Just 1 second. I felt something soft flicker inside me. But then I remembered every lie. Every betrayal. Every night he was working late. Every time he made me feel like I wasn't enough. And the softness turned to steel. "No," I said, my voice steady. "I'm done saving you." He blinked. Slowly. Painfully. "You'll regret this," he muttered. I shook my head. "No. I regret ever loving you." This? This is justice. I closed the door slowly. Not angrily. Not dramatically. Just firmly. And that hurt him more than any door slam ever could. The final blow. Over the next few days, Ethan tried everything. Phone calls. Texts. Emails. Voicemails. "I need your help. Please respond. I'm sorry. You misunderstood. You ruined my life. You owe me." He cycled through anger, guilt, begging, manipulation. Every tactic he knew. But I didn't give in. Without my financial support. The venue took legal action. His wages were garnished. His accounts frozen. His new marriage began with crushing debt. And as for his bride? Brianna left him within 3 weeks. "I didn't sign up to pay for your mess," she posted online. The comments dragged them both again. Ethan had lost. His marriage. His mistress. His money. His reputation. And the last bit of pride he had. And for the first time, he finally understood what he had done. And why rise? While Ethan's life unraveled, mine blossomed. I got a promotion at work. I started therapy. I traveled. I rebuilt my credit. I learned new things. I found new hobbies. I rediscovered myself. Because when a woman stops carrying a man who weighed her down, she rises higher than she ever imagined. One evening, I sat at a rooftop cafe, looking over the city lights, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Happiness. Not the soft, fragile happiness of before, but a powerful, grounded, peaceful happiness. A happiness I earned. A happiness I built. Alone. The final message. Months later, Ethan sent me one last message. I hope you're doing well. I know I ruined things. I know I hurt you. And I know I can never fix what I broke. I just want to say, I'm sorry. I stared at the message for a moment. And then I typed my final words to him. I forgave you a long time ago. But that doesn't mean you get a place in my life again. Take care. I didn't send it out of love. Or nostalgia. Or kindness. I sent it because forgiveness was for me. Not for him. And hitting send felt like closing the last chapter of a book I no longer needed to keep. A new beginning. My story didn't end with heartbreak. It began with it. Because heartbreak didn't break me. It built me. A woman who walked into her ex-husband's wedding and walked out stronger than ever. A woman who learned her worth. A woman who rose above betrayal. A woman who didn't need revenge to prove anything, but still delivered it with elegance. My name is Alyssa Carter. And losing him was the best thing that ever happened to me. The new phase of my life. I always thought healing looked like a straight line. Wake up, feel better, move on. But healing is more like a staircase. Some days you rise. Some days you pause. Some days you drop a step. But every step still moves you upward. And after Ethan's wedding disaster, I was finally climbing. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was rebuilding. My therapist, Dr. Rhodes, once told me, when a woman leaves a man who never valued her, she doesn't just find freedom. She finds herself. At the time, I wasn't sure I believed her. But now, I felt every word like truth. A new start at work. 3 months had passed. I had settled into my new routine. A new apartment. A new hairstyle. A new confidence. One morning, as I walked into the office, my boss, Ms. Ramirez, called me into her cabin. Alyssa, we're promoting you, she said. My heart skipped. You're sharp, calm under pressure, and after everything you went through, you still showed up and delivered. That's strength. I blinked hard to keep the tears from spilling. Strength. The one thing Ethan always told me I lacked. And now someone saw it. Praised it. Rewarded it. I walked out with a raise, a new position. And a feeling I had forgotten. Pride. A new connection. That same evening, when I stopped by a small cafe after work, I didn't expect anything unusual. But fate always likes surprising the people who least expect it. As I waited for my order, a man approached me with a calm smile. Tall, warm eyes, dark hair slightly tousled. A relaxed, confident presence. Excuse me, he said. You left this on the counter. He held out my wallet. Oh, thank you, I began, embarrassed. He smiled. No problem. My name's Daniel Brooks, by the way. The name fit him, simple, steady, trustworthy. I smiled back. Alyssa. A beautiful name, he said gently. Something about him was soft. Safe. Unlike Ethan's sharpness, Daniel had a kind of grounding aura. Let me buy you a coffee, he offered. I, just ordered mine. Then I'll sit and you can pretend I bought yours, he said with a small chuckle. I laughed. Really laughed. For the first time in a long time. We talked for 20 minutes. 20 minutes that felt like a warm breath after being underwater for too long. When we parted, he didn't ask for my number. He simply smiled and said, maybe I'll see you again. And the strangest thing? I wanted to. Ethan's return again. But life never lets peace last too long. 2 days later, I got a knock at my door. Soft, hesitant. I opened it. Ethan. Again. But this time, he didn't look desperate. Or angry. Or crying. He looked lost. Alyssa, Can we talk? He asked quietly. I considered closing the door, but some instinct told me to listen. I stepped outside instead of letting him in. What do you want, Ethan? He swallowed hard before speaking. I saw the video again, he whispered. The one that went viral. I stiffened. And? He paused, rubbing the back of his neck. I didn't come to ask for anything. I came to apologize. For real this time. My heartbeat softened, but my guard stayed firm. I ruined everything, he said, voice breaking. I ruined our marriage. I ruined your trust. And I ruined myself. His honesty, unexpected, raw, felt like a cold wind brushing my skin. I was blind, Alyssa. Blind and selfish and stupid. And you. You deserved so much better than me. For a moment, the pain I had buried flickered again. The old hurt, the betrayal, the heartbreak. I took a breath. You're right, I said. I did. Ethan closed his eyes, like the words pierced him. But thank you, I continued, for finally saying it. He nodded slowly. I'm sober now, he said softly. I stopped drinking. I'm in therapy. I'm trying to fix myself. I hope you do, I whispered. He looked at me with something I didn't expect. Respect. Goodbye, Alyssa. Goodbye, Ethan. He walked away quietly this time. Not defeated, not begging. Just accepting. And that made me feel something strange. Closure. A strange message. 2 weeks later, I received a message from an unknown email address. Subject: You don't know me, but you need to know the truth. Inside was one sentence. Ethan wasn't the one who betrayed you first. My stomach dropped. Who would say that? From the corner of my eye, I noticed an attached image. A picture of Ethan and a man named Lucas Hale, Ethan's cousin, arguing at a bar. The email said, he knows something. Ask him. Before I could process it, a second email came through. Before Ethan cheated, someone else lied to you. My hands trembled. Someone else? Who? Why? What lie? Who is sending these messages? Why now? And how did they know me? For the first time in months. Fear pricked through my chest. But I wasn't the Alyssa who used to fear the truth. I was ready for it. Even if it hurt. Even if it shattered everything all over again. I took a deep breath. Opened my contacts. And dialed the one name I never thought I'd need. Lucas Hale. When I opened the door, the silence hit me first. A heavy, dead kind of silence that didn't feel natural. It felt wrong. My heartbeat was so loud it echoed in my ears. Mom. I called softly. Nothing. No footsteps. No reply. Not even the usual sound of her shuffling around the living room. I stepped inside, slowly, carefully, like the walls themselves were hiding a secret. Every shadow felt deeper than usual, every corner darker. Then I heard it. A soft creak from upstairs. My breath caught. Was Mom upstairs? Or was someone else here? I swallowed hard and forced myself to move. The closer I got to the staircase, the louder my heart hammered. On the last step, I froze. Because what I saw made the world drop out from under me. White medium star, my mom on the floor, and writing on the wall. Mom was on the floor, one hand against her chest, her eyes shut, her breathing uneven. But something even worse pulled my attention. On the wall above her, written in thick black marker. You should have stayed silent. My stomach turned to ice. This wasn't random. This wasn't an accident. This was a warning. I ran to her and fell to my knees. Mom? Mom, open your eyes. Please. Her eyelids fluttered. She was conscious, but weak. Beside her hand lay a torn envelope. She whispered, voice tiny and shaky. Baby, he's not who you think he is. My blood froze. Who? Mom, who? She squeezed my wrist with what little strength she had. Your husband and his mother, they were here. The words punched straight through me. What? Why would they be here? What did they want? Mom winced, pain spreading across her expression. They came for the documents. The ones your grandmother left you. My chest tightened. The documents. The ones Grandma had given me privately. The ones no one else knew existed. No one. Except my husband. White medium star, the letter left on the floor. I grabbed the envelope with trembling fingers. Mom whispered, "I didn't write that. Someone else left it. They wanted me to find it." I opened the letter. There were only 3 lines. "She knows too much. Keep her quiet, or we will." A rush of panic climbed up my throat. "This is a threat," I whispered. "They threatened you?" Mom nodded weakly. "They want control, the inheritance. Your grandmother didn't leave it to them. She left it to you." I felt like I couldn't breathe. My husband, the man who vowed to protect me, came here to threaten my mother over money? My hands shook with rage and disbelief. Mom gently grabbed me again. "Don't go back to him. Whatever happens, promise me don't go." Tears burned my eyes. "Mom, I'm not leaving you alone. I'm calling 911. But she suddenly panicked, gripping my arm. "No. If they find out I'm talking, they'll come after you next." "They already came," I whispered harshly. "They won't stop." Her breathing grew shallow. "Just get the documents, hide them, protect yourself." Why medium-star footsteps outside? Before I could respond, I heard it. Too slow, heavy footsteps on the porch. Mom's eyes widened in terror. Then the door handle downstairs jiggled. My blood evaporated. They were back. I quickly dragged Mom into the shadow beside the wall, turned off the light, and crept toward the staircase. The doorknob rattled harder. Click, 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 as if someone was trying to force it open. Then I heard the voice. A man's voice. His voice. "Honey? Open the door. Let's talk." My heart nearly stopped. My husband. But he wasn't alone. Behind him, I heard the unmistakable whisper of the one woman who hated me most. His mother. Mom clutched my forearm, trembling. I silently pulled out my phone and dialed 911, but the call didn't connect yet, just ringing silently in my hand. The knocking grew louder. "Sweetheart," my husband said in a tone that was soft. Too soft. The kind of softness someone uses when they're hiding a knife. "Don't make this harder. Just open up." I felt something inside me break. He thought I would obey. He thought fear would make me open the door. He didn't know me anymore. I steadied my breath. Then I shouted, "Leave. I'm warning you, I already called the police." There was a pause. A long, suffocating pause. Then footsteps backed away. Silence. Followed by the cold, cruel voice of his mother. "Fine. Keep your secrets. But you won't have a home left tomorrow." And then, laughter. The kind of laughter that sends chills down your spine. They walked away, got in their car, and drove off like they had accomplished something. I stared out the window, watching their taillights disappear. And in that moment, I felt something new forming inside me. A fire. A strength. A clarity. For the first time, I saw my husband for who he truly was. A man not blinded by love, but poisoned by greed. Why medium star a new resolve? I rushed back to Mom. She looked at me, fear and pain mixing in her expression. "They won't stop," she whispered. "They want everything your grandmother left you." I held her hand tightly. "Then we fight back," I said quietly but firmly. Mom stared at me surprised. Maybe proud, maybe relieved. She whispered, "Do you remember what your grandmother always told you?" I nodded slowly. "When someone shows you their truth, believe them the first time." Mom gave a weak smile. "Exactly. Your husband showed you today." I breathed deeply. In that moment, something inside me shifted forever. I was done being scared. Done being controlled. Done being quiet. If they wanted a war, they picked the wrong woman. Because tonight, for the first time, I wasn't afraid of losing them. I was afraid of losing myself. And I would not let that happen. I looked at the wall. At those haunting words written in black marker. "You should have stayed silent." I whispered back. "Not anymore." The beginning of the unraveling. The city lights shimmered through my apartment window as I held my grandmother's documents in my hands. For months, I'd believed they were just papers, numbers, accounts, legal jargon. Now I realized they were weapons. Power waiting to be wielded. The leverage I needed to secure my family and finally hold Ethan accountable. The events of the last weeks, Ethan's public humiliation, his mother's threats, and the shocking visit, had changed me. I wasn't the same Alyssa who had once cried in the dark over betrayal. I was a strategist now. Calm, calculating, prepared. I spread the documents across the dining table. Bank accounts, property deeds, legal letters, everything meticulously recorded. If anyone tried to take what was rightfully mine, they would face consequences far beyond anything they had imagined. The emails from the unknown sender. Weeks earlier, I had received cryptic emails. Ethan wasn't the one who betrayed you first. He's hiding the truth. Lucas Hale knows everything. Ask him. The name Lucas Hale echoed in my mind. He was Ethan's cousin. Someone I had never met personally, but apparently, he held answers. I had spent days weighing my options. Confront him, ignore it, or let it unravel naturally. Fear and curiosity battled inside me. Finally, I knew I had to know the truth. I drafted a careful email. Lucas, this is Alyssa Carter. I need to talk. It's urgent. Within an hour, a reply came. Meet me at the Harbor Cafe, 6 p.m. Come alone. No phones. I didn't hesitate. I knew every move had to be precise. The meeting with Lucas. At 6 p.m. sharp, I entered the quiet cafe. The dim lighting and wooden decor made it seem intimate, almost conspiratorial. A man waved at me from the corner. Tall, composed, eyes alert, Lucas Hale. Miss Carter, he said, standing as I approached. Thank you for coming. I nodded, sitting across from him. You said you know the truth about Ethan. What truth? He leaned in, lowering his voice. Ethan never told you everything because he didn't want to. You think Brianna was the first betrayal? She was just a symptom. My stomach sank. Explain, I said, voice steady. Lucas took a deep breath. Years before you married him, Ethan's mother, she orchestrated deals behind everyone's back. She took control of your grandmother's assets. Ethan went along, mostly unaware of her full plan. She targeted the family, your family, long before you even met him. Brianna was just the final distraction. The real betrayal started with greed, deception, and manipulation from her side. I felt the room spin. This was bigger than I imagined. It wasn't just Ethan. It was a web, a family conspiracy to take what was mine. Lucas continued. If you play this right, Alyssa, you can reclaim everything. And finally, set things right. I realized then that my fight wasn't just personal anymore. It was legacy. It was about proving that a good woman can outsmart generations of liars. The plan takes shape. Over the next days, I strategized. I would secure all the inheritance legally first. I would document every interaction Ethan and his mother had with me and Mom. I would use the media and social exposure only if necessary. Every call, every meeting, every transaction, carefully calculated. The first step, regain full control over the grandmother's documents and accounts. Lucas guided me. Together, we traced hidden accounts, offshore properties, and legal loopholes. Ethan had underestimated me completely. He assumed my power ended with the divorce. He assumed I was weak. He assumed I would fold. He was wrong. The confrontation with Ethan's mother. One rainy evening, I found her alone at a charity gala, an event she frequently attended. Her presence was commanding, poised, perfect. I approached her quietly. She turned. Recognition flashed in her eyes. Miss Carter, she said smoothly. To what do I owe this pleasure? I smiled. The same thing you should have feared months ago. She raised an eyebrow. And what's that? I leaned slightly closer, voice calm but piercing. All the money you tried to steal. I'm taking it back. Every cent. Her mask faltered. For a split second, I saw fear. Then anger. You think you can do this? She spat. You're just one woman. I let her words settle like dust in the air. Then, softly. One woman with proof, strategy, and patience can topple empires. Her eyes widened. That moment, I knew I had won the first psychological battle. Ethan's desperation grows. Meanwhile, Ethan remained clueless about my alliance with Lucas. He tried the usual tactics, messages, voicemails, texts filled with apologies, promises, even threats. But now I had full control. The cards he used, the accounts he abused, and the inheritance he schemed for, everything was out of his reach. He had no leverage, no power. And for the first time, he felt fear. The first victory. A few days later, I received a letter from the law firm overseeing the grandmother's estate. All assets in Alyssa Carter's name have been secured. Any claims from Ethan Hale or Margaret Hale will be considered invalid. I smiled and leaned back. The first round was over. But the war was far from finished. Daniel reappears. That evening, Daniel Brooks, the man from the cafe weeks ago, called. "I think you might need some help," he said. "I know people who can provide security and advice. If they come after you, you'll be prepared." Something about his calm, unwavering tone reassured me. "Meet me tomorrow," I said. "Yes," he replied. "And bring the documents." I knew then that I was no longer alone. Allies were emerging. I wasn't just fighting Ethan and his mother, I was preparing for the entire system they built to protect their lies. The night before the strike, I sat in my apartment, looking over the city skyline. The rain streaked the windows, creating a cinematic haze that mirrored the storm inside me. I spread the documents in front of me, checking every detail, every number, every account, every clause. Tomorrow, the final step of the plan would begin. And I promised myself, Ethan would finally understand betrayal. His mother would feel what fear truly is. And I would emerge victorious, untouchable, and unbroken. The night stretched long, but sleep finally came, calm, confident, and ready. Tomorrow, everything changed. The day of the strike. The morning air was crisp, sharp, and filled with tension. I woke before sunrise, the documents securely tucked in my briefcase, heart steady, mind razor-focused. This was the day the truth would finally be revealed, and the final battle would be fought not with fists or words alone, but with evidence, strategy, and timing. Daniel and Lucas were already waiting at the small cafe near the courthouse. Their presence gave me a quiet reassurance. Allies who understood strategy, loyalty, and patience, people I could trust. "I've checked everything twice," Lucas said, voice calm but firm. "All legal filings are ready. Ethan and his mother have no legal standing. Once this is filed, it's theirs to lose." Daniel nodded. "Security teams are on standby if things get messy. But honestly, they won't know what hit them until it's too late." I opened my briefcase, spreading the documents on the table. Bank accounts, property deeds, hidden agreements, legal filings. Every lie Ethan and his mother had ever told was now laid bare in black and white. "I never wanted this," I whispered, almost to myself. "I didn't want to ruin them. I just wanted justice." Lucas placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "Justice isn't ruin, it's balance. And today, you restore it." The courthouse showdown. By late morning, I arrived at the courthouse. Ethan was there, unaware of the depth of the plan. His mother accompanied him, regal, smug, thinking control was still in their hands. I walked in confidently, head held high, like a queen entering a room that would finally acknowledge her power. Ethan froze when he saw me. Brianna was nowhere in sight, gone from his life completely, having abandoned him when the first cracks appeared. "Why are you here?" Ethan's voice was brittle, forced. I smiled slightly. "To finish what you started. Legally, publicly, and definitively." The court proceedings began. I handed my lawyer, Lucas, and Daniel each folder of evidence. The judge reviewed the filings. Ethan tried to object, but his words fell flat. The documentation was airtight, every financial claim traced and proved fraudulent, every act of manipulation meticulously recorded. His mother's eyes flicked nervously to me. You can't do this," she hissed. "I already have," I replied, voice calm, deadly even in its serenity. "And it's over. There's no going back." Ethan's collapse. By noon, the ruling was clear. All assets, accounts, and property formerly under the control or claim of Ethan Hale and Margaret Hale were now officially in my name. The courtroom fell silent. Ethan's face went pale. His mother's jaw dropped. This isn't possible," Ethan stammered, voice cracking. I took a deep breath. "It is possible. Because I prepared. I studied. I waited. And I stayed strong. Unlike you, I didn't betray my own values or my family. Lucas stepped forward. The documents prove every transaction, every lie, every manipulation. The law is not on your side, Ethan. Not today. Not ever. Ethan's mother whispered something angrily under her breath, but it was drowned out by the murmurs of the courtroom. The judge slammed the gavel. Case closed. Assets returned to Alyssa Carter. Any further claims will be dismissed. The sound echoed like a drumbeat of justice. The aftermath outside the courtroom. Outside, media and onlookers had gathered. Cameras flashed. Phones recorded. Social media would explode once again. Ethan's face was pale, his mother rigid, their empire crumbling visibly. I walked out slowly, Daniel and Lucas at my side. Reporters shouted questions. I ignored them. I wasn't there for attention. I was there for justice. A woman approached me timidly. You handled everything so gracefully. I've never seen anyone. I smiled faintly. Thank you. Strength isn't loud, it's deliberate. The woman nodded, inspired. And in that moment, I realized my story wasn't just about revenge. It was about power, resilience, and reclaiming what's yours. The final confrontation with Ethan. Later, Ethan tried one last time. Alone, he cornered me outside a cafe. Alyssa, please, you don't understand. I understand perfectly, I interrupted. I understand that you lied, cheated, and betrayed me. I understand that you tried to take what wasn't yours. And I understand that I am finally free from you. He looked desperate, but there was nothing left to beg for. You don't have to forgive me? He asked. No, I said softly. I forgive for my own peace, not for you. You're irrelevant in my life now. He lowered his head, a mix of shame and defeat painting his features. I turned, walking away. Not angrily, not vindicatively, confidently, calmly, free. The resurgence of peace. The weeks following the court case were serene. I strengthened my financial independence. Lucas continued as an ally and advisor. Daniel became a quiet presence, offering support without intruding. Every day, I woke up feeling stronger, more alive. I traveled. I invested in myself. I laughed again, deeply, fully, without hesitation. Ethan tried once or twice to reach out calls, messages, but I ignored them all. I had no time for toxic apologies or unfinished business. I had life to live. And a legacy to honor. The closing moment. One evening, I returned to my apartment and found Mom waiting with tea. You look different, she said softly, smiling. I am, I replied. I'm not the scared girl I used to be. I'm someone who can protect herself, her family, and her legacy. Mom reached over, taking my hand. Grandma would be proud. And so am I. I poured tea into our cups. The rain pattered softly on the windows. I sat, sipping slowly, savoring the calm. For the first time in years, the storm had passed. And I realized the most important truth. Strength isn't revenge. Strength is survival, courage, and reclaiming your life. And that night, I slept deeply, peacefully, unafraid. Epilogue, the legacy restored. Alyssa Carter's life was no longer defined by betrayal or loss. Ethan and his mother were powerless. Brianna was gone from the picture entirely. The grandmother's legacy was preserved. Alyssa's resilience became her greatest asset. She walked forward, not with hatred, but with clarity, purpose, and power. And anyone who had once underestimated her would forever remember. Never cross a woman who knows her worth.